Morning, everybody. It's Nick, as you can see, and I thought I would pop on and just give a quick update. I did try and pop on Friday, actually, when I was out walking, but I got caught in a cloudburst, so I was absolutely soaked to death. So the latest and greatest. Well, on the menopause, and you know what? For me, the menopause is just a life update because this menopause is part of my life. It's like when I was a teenager and I went through puberty, that was just something that, I embraced and I went with. And actually, I was really quite excited about. Actually, as an aside, I remember being at secondary school. I can't remember what year it was. I was young and I was not an early developer by any stretch of the imagination. And I remember actually lying to my friends and pretending that I had and was having periods when I wasn't, because I was so desperate to be in the women's club. I was so desperate to be the grown-up woman. And it's interesting, isn't it, that puberty lasts a few years, and when I look back, I really embraced it and I was excited about it because it signified, entry into this grown-up world that was really exciting and intoxicating and that I wanted to be part of. And for whatever reason, we don't feel like that about the menopause. I know some of those reasons are because actually I think in a lot of ways, well, I was about to say the menopause is more challenging, but I'm not sure that's a fair comparison because I think, lots of times in our lives are challenging. Puberty is a challenging period. We're finding ourselves, you can feel very lost. Peer pressure can be really acute and very difficult. And I remember actually when I first got my periods, just how painful they were, the terrible cramps I used to get with them and so forth. And then, another big period in my life was pregnancy. I have 3 children and the hormones were completely out of control then. But I suppose those 2 periods of my life were very much about growth and, birthing new life for my children, but also puberty was birthing new life for me, becoming a woman from a little girl. And I think there's, I'm not sure we have the same narrative in the society and mindset in terms of, what is menopause birthing? What is it that we are looking to go towards? And I think we do live in a world where generally females in particular, the female aging narrative is not, it's not very good at all, is it? There's a lot of pressure on us to look a certain way. It's not helped by really key female role models, many of them doing Botox and whatever they can to hold back the years. The stereotype idolized body is very much a young female's body, not one with a rounded mummy tummy, slightly, well, probably more than slightly sagging boobs, fucking enormous boobs. Actually, I'm now up to a H. I don't know anybody else who's found that in midlife, but I never particularly had massive boobs when I was a younger woman. They did get particularly big when I was pregnant, but I did have very large babies, so I needed quite a lot of milk to feed them. But they just never went down, and they've really got big during the menopause. That's been a really significant change. So, and it's interesting because I do look at my body. I'm not ashamed at all to look at myself naked in the mirror. I'm not ashamed or embarrassed for my husband to see me naked. To him, I'm still as lovely, I think I am, as when he met me. I'm not embarrassed at the beach or in the pool. I'm not self-conscious at all about my body, actually, which I think is really healthy. And I do think that comes from a couple of things. I'm the youngest of 4 girls. So I was brought up in a very female-dominated environment. And I was also brought up in a household where my mother was, I didn't realise it at the time, but looking back, she was very much an early day feminist in her own way. She was very, empowered in that way, not necessarily in her kind of role in society, because she was, all the time we were growing up, a housewife. And it's only now, as I digress, but as I look back, it's really, I'm sad about this, because my mum has got some fantastic skills. She's very creative. She's always been a wonderful seamstress. Is a fantastic gardener. Her gardens are just unbelievable. She could have been a professional landscape gardener if she'd been born in a different time. But what's actually quite sad is all of the things that my mum was really, really good at when we were growing up. Like, she made, all of my outfits to go to work in. She knitted all of my jumpers. She made all of my school uniform. She even made my curtains and bedding in my bedroom. She did all the wallpapering. We weren't rich by any stretch of the imagination. We grew up on a council estate. My parents bought their house just before, I think it was Thatcher put the interest rates through the roof. It was quite a difficult time. But my mum, it was really beautiful. The garden was beautiful, and she used to decorate it all and make our bedding and curtains. Everything was beautiful. And it's quite sad that her skills weren't really celebrated, because she was seen as a housewife bringing the kids up. And I think that's a whole different discussion, because I do really have a problem that we downplay that role. I'm not saying for 1 minute that women should only be housewives. I think women should have the choice to be what they want to be, and that's what genuine empowerment is to me. It's having choice. That's really important. But equally, for those of us who do choose that path, I think we shouldn't downplay the role of the homemaker, and the stuff that certainly I've found. I do enjoy, creating, playing house, cooking, creating stuff. And when I look back, my mum was hugely talented in so many areas, and it's a real shame that wasn't celebrated more by society. Digressing. Anyway, and the other thing that really helped, and I think has always helped me with being comfortable with my body, is I went to a swimming club from a very young age. So from 4, I started at swimming club, and we went all the way through to teenagers, all 4 of us. And in those days, you didn't have cubicles. There were communal changing rooms. And I always did a lot of sport. I was games captain at school. I swam, played a lot of squash, played a lot of netball, hockey, you name it. If it was sport, I played it. So I was very, very used to being in changing rooms, getting changed, in swimming changing rooms. And therefore, I think there was something really healthy about that, in terms of not being embarrassed about your body. And I'm definitely not very kind of British in that way. I'm very relaxed about it. But, I do look, and obviously my body is not as it was at 25 years old. It's rounded, and I'm a lot bigger, and so forth and so forth. But I don't think it looks particularly horrible. I really don't. And I think it's a real shame that we live in a world where the older woman is, there's negative connotations around it. And I think there's a lot of stuff around the menopause that plays into making us feel shit about it. But the reality is, it is a phase of life we go through. It's easier for some than others, and it lasts a few years. So I think I'm in the position of going, look, I've got to make the best of it, and I've got to stop battling it. I don't want to battle it anymore. I just want to go with the flow, and I want to be at peace with myself and with everything that it brings with it, and to find a way to make it work. And one of the things that so I suppose onto kind of the detail of what's happening. I came off my antidepressants about a month ago now, and I'm feeling absolutely fine. I haven't crashed or anything like that. I feel absolutely fine. I do get tired, but I think some of that is just, I am 52 years old, and I'm not Duracell. I'm not made to run non-stop. So what I find is I do split my day down. So I do now, I'm really, really strict on making sure I've got breaks, regular breaks in between stuff. Maybe only 20-25 minutes. It doesn't have to be hours at a time, but regular breaks. So if I've got, a particular activity for however long, 2 or 3 hours, I will absolutely look at my schedule and go, right, I need to be able to go and sit and read a book for half an hour, then just sit down for 15 minutes with a cup of tea, but really regular breaks. And I've found taking, 3 or 4 of those throughout the day is completely life-changing. It completely changes the quality of my day. It really does. It's just a really nice way to be. And I do appreciate that can be quite difficult, if you're in a structured working environment full time. But even so, I think just finding every 2 or 3 hours, just finding 10 or 15 minutes where you can just take some time out. I don't even think that should be just for people going through the menopause. I think that should just be for anybody who's a human being, quite frankly. So that's okay. I have got the HRT implant in, my estrogen levels are up. I have been taking my insulin resistance medication, so I am insulin resistant. It is because my estrogen dropped before I had the implant. Then I had the implant, the insulin's kind of run away with itself. I've put on a lot of weight, which means I have more fat cells, which means the insulin gets more out of control, which means I then need to go on medication to help me. I have resisted going on the kind of wonder drugs that they're talking about now, which you inject once a week. And the reason I've resisted them is because I think the research is still out. We still don't really know the long-term effects of those injections, from what I can gather. Secondly, I'm not doing it to lose weight, to be honest. I'm doing it to feel better. So the thing is about being insulin resistant. From my understanding, all diabetics are insulin resistant, but you can be insulin resistant and not be a diabetic. Basically means that my fat cells, the best way my consultant described it is that, my fat cells are a bit deaf. So when I eat, fat cells want energy, and they don't quite hear the insulin knocking to say open up and absorb the energy. So therefore it knocks a bit louder. And that means that I crave, for example, really crave carbohydrates, like, the same craving you would have if you smoked. I used to smoke years ago. It's that kind of really, really strong craving. And when it gets out of control, not only do I put on enormous amounts of weight, a couple of stone, but it also means I retain huge amounts of fluid, and the fluid actually creates a lot of pain, because the fluid gets into my joints, because fluid has to go somewhere. And it was so bad, actually, I was struggling to breathe properly because my diaphragm didn't have enough room to go up and down because I was so full of fluid. So what will happen is the insulin meds that I take a tablet called metformin. Now, obviously it's not as quick acting as these wonder drugs because it acts in a different way. But effectively, it's helping my body become much more efficient in the way it uses insulin. And over time, I've been back on it now 3 months. It's helping me to regulate, be more efficient with my insulin, which helps with my appetite and my cravings. And at the same time, I also take diuretics to help my body expel the excess fluid. I haven't been on the scales, but I will go on the scales in a couple of weeks. And what I hope will happen is what's happened previously, because I go through this. This is about the 4th or 5th time I've been through this cycle. Is that I regulate my insulin, I do lose some weight, I regulate the fluid, and then actually I can stop taking the medication for a while because I've lose weight, I have less fat cells, my estrogen's up, and so therefore I can maintain that balance through basically a healthy lifestyle. It's when things get out of kilter. So it was when my estrogen dropped really low. So estrogen's a little bit like the person that stands up to the bully in the playground kind of thing. So if the estrogen's not there, there's nobody to hold insulin to account, because insulin's our biggest hormone. Gosh, I've gone a lot about that, so I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so I am on my insulin meds. I feel a lot better. My joint pain has gone. My backache has gone. My energy levels are okay. I'm eating much healthier, and I'm thinking and being far better in terms of preparing food and thinking ahead about what to eat. And what I do find is that if I eat a lighter diet in terms of more fish, more chicken, more vegetarian food, more plant-based, less carbohydrates, I feel a lot better. My body seems to digest it much easier, and my energy and just my overall sense of being alive just feels better. So that's basically where I am on that. I'm still easing myself into, I suppose, whatever it's going to be now for me in terms of keeping fit and activity. You'll see my hair is wet. That's because I'm going to have to buy one of those sticks because my arm's aching holding the phone. I rejoined a swimming club as a master swimmer, but one of the things I found is that I've gone back after a couple of years break, and it's a different vibe. And it's a different vibe because there's some pretty elite swimmers now in the masters clubs. To be a masters, basically you're over 18. There's pretty elite swimmers that they're probably 20 years younger than me. And because they're 20 years younger, not only they're younger and fitter, but also they were taught to swim 20 years after me. So they were taught more efficient techniques of swimming. So I've kind of got a double whammy. It's week 6 this week. It's my 6th week back. And what hit me today is that I don't want to have to battle. I don't want to have to compete. And I don't want to have to flog myself to keep up. That's not where I am in my life. I love swimming and I want to swim for the joy of it. I want to get into a pool. I want to feel rhythm in the water. I want to go at a pace that I'm comfortable with, because I'm not training for the Olympics. I'm just doing it for nurture and nourishing, and something that I can look forward to and enjoy and brings me peace. I find it quite hypnotic and meditative when I'm in a pool. But what I found week 6 of swimming club is none of those things are kicking in for me, because I'm literally swimming for my life to try and keep up, and it's really, really hard. And I think the decision I made, I got out of the pool early today because there are enough challenges in life as it is. There are enough ways that we can suffer, quite frankly. And something really fundamental clicked for me this morning, which is, why are you doing this? If this isn't what you want, it doesn't have to be a battle. You don't have to be flogging yourself. I was up at 4 this morning because actually I was worried about going, and I was worried about whether I was going to be able to keep up and how I was going to be. And it really clicked. It's like, why am I doing this? What is it that I want? What do I want to get out of this? What I want to get, I want to go to the pool when the lanes are out, and I want to enjoy swimming for 30 to 40 minutes. That's it. I don't need to be doing a training schedule. I don't need to be keeping up with people 20 years younger than me. I don't need to be doing times. I don't need to be doing any of that. I just need to be moving. And I think there's something about just that thread of simplification and being kind to ourselves, which is so important. So I'm not going to go back after today, and I'm just going to go to a lane swimming session at our local pool, probably just once a week, which is all I'm doing now for swimming. And I'm just going to enjoy my swim. And then I'm just going to walk my dogs. And then I'm just going to enjoy my yoga, and I'm just going to do these things because there's joy and nourishment and calm and peace in them. And these are all things that are keeping me moving. These are all things that are keeping my muscles being used and keeping me flexible, keeping my heart rate going, but doing so in a way that that's not a battle, that it's not something kind of gasping for breath and feeling crap afterwards about because I've had to push myself hard. And I think there's something about that that's really important with the menopause and becoming older and wiser and becoming the crone, which is being more at peace with not looking at what other people are doing, not trying to be 20 years younger, but just accepting where I am right here, right now, and doing stuff that is right for me at this stage. I've talked for an awful long time, so it's not, you know, they never are short vlogs, are they? I'm sitting having a conversation with myself, so I will stop. I think that's the really important stuff that I wanted to share today, is about menopause being part of life, that it's part of where I am. I don't want to miss being in the present moment because I'm so desperate for to be out of the menopause. I don't want to wish my life away. So it's just about making the most of where I am with what I've got right here, right now. So yeah, do you know what? I'm not rocking it, but I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay, and I'm okay with that. So I send everybody lots of love wherever you are in your journey. I hope you can find your way through, that brings you peace and comfort with how you want to manage this phase of your life. Okay, take care. Bye.